Well, we love featuring artists you should know about on the show, and today we're heading to Colorado to chat with singer-songwriter Kyle Moon from Kyle Moon and the Misled. Kyle started out in San Antonio, Texas, now lives in Denver. Kyle Moon and the Misled are an alternative country rock band telling stories about their own real-life experiences chasing the American dream. They just released a brand new single called Kansas Town, and we're excited to have Kyle Moon on the show. First, Kyle, thanks so much for coming on.
Well, thanks for having us.
Well, you grew up in Iowa. You lived in San Antonio, now in Denver. Why Denver?
Well, actually, I was in Denver for 13 years, and I started playing in a band out here, and work actually took me to San Antonio. And at that point, I was writing a ton of songs, and by the time I got down to San Antonio, I probably had 13, 14 original songs, and I just happened to move next to a guy that son played in bands, and we just got together and created Moon the Misled down there in San Antonio, Texas.
Nice. And then, so how long have you been back in Denver?
6 months before COVID, moved back. Again, I was, I like Denver, I like San Antonio. It's all been great, but I have a lot of friends here, family. It's closer to Iowa if I got to get back home. So it moved me back, and been back here ever since, and got kind of some old band members back that I used to play in that first band with, and now we've just been playing all around here in Colorado, and probably get some dates in Texas here shortly.
Nice. Well, there's a Muscle Shoals reference when people talk about your music, Kyle. Muscle Shoals, people don't know, is Alabama, tons of history there. What's the influence with you?
I think all those Muscle Shoals, and, I just look at songwriters I like, people that have all worked out of there, the sound. Jason Isbell's big inspiration for me. Some of the stuff that, I learned about that territory through just some of the people that I love that have inspired me. So, and plus I just kind of like that sound down there, that southern rock kind of meets, alt country. So just big influence for me.
Yeah. Well, we played Home earlier. You've kind of had a break between songs. What was happening? You take a little time off?
Well, no, I'm doing some, I'm doing some co-writing now with my producer, Andy Goldstone, and his new studio, Platypus Sound, who happens to also be our lead guitar player, who used to have a studio in Brooklyn and just got a new one up and running 10 years later. And we're doing some co-writing for some stuff to try to get on some movies and TV shows, and we've already submitted a few. We haven't heard back yet, but it's kind of taken up some time. I've got 5 to 6, almost done written songs that we're going to actually put a new album together here shortly.
Nice. Yeah, your music would be perfect for some movies.
Yeah, so it's exciting. It would be cool to kind of do it. It's nice because usually everything I do is about my past or something that has impacted me. And so it's been a lot different, look at, just an idea in writing a song and writing it with somebody else that I really haven't done before. So it's pretty cool to do.
Yeah. Well, during your break, you went to Jackson. Was this the first time that you've been to Jackson Hole?
Yeah, it was, and absolutely loved it. We're not far from Wyoming, but to get up there, I've never been, and love that whole territory up there, and got to spend some time with my family, and we are definitely going to go back. I got to, my kids are twin boys that are 7, and I got to take them to Yellowstone this year.
Yeah, for sure. And you were sloshing around in some powder, so you were doing a little skiing while you were in Jackson too.
Oh yeah, yep. I love to get on the snowboard, and that mountain's a great mountain to go, and it was also great for the kids. So we'll definitely be back.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about your twin boys. So they're 7.
Yep.
Man.
Yep, 7 years old. So they were one of my first songs I wrote on the way down to San Antonio. They were not even born yet when we moved. They were probably 3 months from being born. So Goodbye Denver was a song I wrote, and that was me in a car driving from Denver to San Antonio, Texas, and that's where they were born. I got 2 Texans.
Nice. How do they get along?
Their personalities are completely different, but it makes complete sense because one, Jackson, is completely like my wife, and one is definitely me. One has a hard time saying I'm sorry, and one's very emotional and very sensitive, and they're both great kids. And it's cool to see, even though they're identical twins, their personalities starting to shine.
Wow, and they are identical. So
yeah.
that's Can people tell them apart, or are they that identical?
Well, we've never dressed them the same, more out of laziness. But I think for us, they've always had a different hairstyle that they've wanted, and we just let them do whatever they want. So one was always kind of longer, and just recently they both went back to shorter hair with this kind of faux hawk thing. I don't know what it is, but now it's really hard. I actually was at baseball with them Saturday, and I was yelling at one of them. I thought it was Jackson on first base, and it was Luke. And I haven't done that in a while, so if it's tricky for me again, it's definitely tricky for my friends and family. So
wow, for sure. Oh, that's hilarious. We're chatting with Kyle from Kyle Moon and the Misled. Go check them out, KyleMoonandTheMisled.com. They're on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify. The brand new single, Kansas Town, is out now. Well, and we played Home. You said you wrote this on a road trip with your boys heading back to Iowa.
Yep.
Well, tell us about the song, Kyle.
Yeah, that was a COVID trip where it was after where flights were okay, but my kids had this really bad cough, and there's no way I was going to put them on a plane and have everyone look at me weird as they had this bad cough. And so I canceled my plane, just got a car and drove 10 hours to Fort Dodge, Iowa. But on that trip, I was just kind of reminiscing when my boys were probably watching some TV show on a laptop, and it just kind of came through where the first part of the song just kind of came, and by the time I got that 10-hour drive was over, the song was pretty much done. I had one more verse to do that I actually did after my experience at that trip for the week I was with my mom and dad and the kids, but it was all kind of happened at once. It just, I get a melody or I get something in my head, and I just started writing it down because I had a lot of time on my hands for 10 hours.
Yeah.
And just kind of, I always travel with my guitar, and I just grabbed my guitar when I got out of the car at my parents and fiddled around with it, and then finished it before we left.
Yeah. Wow. And Home, you go check it out. Go to his website or go to Spotify and listen to it. Well, you mentioned Andy.
Yeah.
He's your guitarist and your producer. You say he's played every instrument on the new one except slide guitar. So how do we meet Andy? Do we know him last time when you were in Denver?
No, I met him through, out of all things, just kind of fall into place. My sister-in-law was dating one of his family members, and they said, you should meet. He lives in Denver. Next thing you know, we have kids the same age. We didn't really talk about music for the first couple meetings, and then we sat down one night over a couple bourbons and realized we not only liked the same music, but I was recording an album with my old band member that was producing out of their house, and he's like, hey, I'd love to take a look at it. And I think it inspired him, after not doing anything for 10 years in the music industry, to say, I think I could help you with this, right? And he went in the studio while I did vocals in Denver, since I was living in Denver, and that was in San Antonio. And after that, he just started looking into it and built his own record studio here, our producing place in his house that's called Platypus Sound, and it's been awesome. And like the last 3 songs have all been right through Platypus Sound, with Full Circle, Home, and now Kansas Town, and we're about ready to release an album in the next year, probably less than a year, because a couple we're redoing, and then we got some new songs to put on that album.
Wow, so you got him back into music and producing.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad because I'm like, man, you spent a lot of money on the studio, but he's definitely amazing to work with. Unbelievable artist. He hadn't picked up a guitar in 10 years, and he absolutely shreds on the guitar.
Yeah, well, and he played every instrument. The guy's talented. I wonder, why did he stop? Do you know?
Just family life,
Yeah.
right? Moved to Colorado, back to where his family was from, and left the Brooklyn scene, and started. He's got 2 kids, and it just kind of got him to get into a job where he could get some steady income. And now he's back, though. It'd be great to see this turn around to where it could be the full-time deal for him, because he's got the talent to do it, and the music's great that he's putting out.
Exactly, and if he's producing
Yep,
other artists as
sure.
well. But
Yep.
Andy Goldstone. So Kansas Town. Well, first the cover art. Did you know this Matt Tomlinson, or did you find it, or what? Because the cover art, it looks like a picture, but it's actually a painting.
Yeah, it's a painting. He does amazing work out of San Antonio. I have never met him. I actually liked some of his artwork, and my slide guitar player is still Colin Bryant is still down in San Antonio. And I showed him. I was like, "Hey, this artwork's great." And he's like, "Oh, Matt, we play in a wooden baseball adult baseball league." So they play together, and he's like, "Yeah." We go out. We've gone to a couple concerts, and I was like, "Hey, just ask him. Like, I would love to use one of these pieces of art and showcase it for my next single." And he couldn't have been nicer about it. He was like, "No problem, whatever you want. Let me know which one, and I can send you the file and put it up there." And it's amazing work. If you guys haven't checked him out, definitely check out Matt Tomlinson down in San Antonio, Texas.
Huh, interesting. So Colin's still down there. So how did we record his parts? Did you do it remote, or?
He flew in for a couple shows,
Okay.
and when we started this, so he kind of, we knew this song was coming, and we already had the parts kind of picked out. And I always send my work to him and Andy when I'm writing a song with my acoustic guitar. And he's really good about getting some hooks in there and putting the slide guitar behind it. And so he recorded that probably 6-7 months ago.
Wow. Well, that was nice that he was in town. And then, I mean, Kansas Town, first, tell us about the song, because, I mean, we talked about Iowa, Texas, Colorado.
Yeah.
Now we have a song called Kansas Town.
Well, I did live in Kansas for 1 year. I was wrestling in college, and my my assistant coach got a head job for a college. And so it was a first-year program. He got 6 of us that were on the team in Iowa to go out there and wrestle for him. And it was, smaller town. I don't think a lot of people like new faces, and kind of had a run-in with some of the townies when we first got to that town. And it's kind of what happened one night when we first got there, and kind of lasted the whole school year with everything that happened. And kind of crazy, but it's one that I always thought about writing about, and just never could figure out how I wanted to do it. And then it just kind of came to me one day, and I wrote this hook down, and then we went from there, and that's how it was created.
Wow. Yeah, growing up in Iowa, wrestling's huge. I imagine you have to wrestle.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that I'm friends with. All their family now wrestles, and a lot of my friends that live out here have kids now that wrestle in Colorado that were from Iowa. But yeah, it's definitely huge in Iowa.
Are the boys going to be wrestlers?
I'm letting them pick right now. They did just see my buddy's kid just win a state title this year, and they thought it was pretty cool, and they started asking about it. So I'm going to probably try to get them into one of the leagues right around our practices around my house, and see if they like it. They clearly wrestle each other a lot, so I think it would probably be easy for them to move over to that.
Yeah, it's an easy transition. I was going to say, if they're boys, they got to be wrestling each other or fighting with each other somehow. But
Yep.
Yeah, if you can wrangle that into a positive wrestling experience, go check him out. Kyle Moon and the Misled. He's at KyleMoonandTheMisled.com. He's on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify. The brand new single Kansas Town is out now. Well, there's a couple shots of you. Well, there's one video. If you go to his Instagram, I think it's on your Instagram. You're playing a song sitting there. There's a bunch of vinyl next to you. How long have we been storing all this vinyl?
That started, I think my grandparents, both, my mom and dad's side had vinyl. My grandpa on the farm would always have Johnny Cash going, or Willie. And then it just kind of came through in college where I started collecting bands I liked. And it just, from there, I've just kind of created this passion where I buy all my new music on vinyl. And I still look for the rarities and everything else that's out there. But, yeah, I love listening to it on a record player. And I love the fact that my boys are listening to it on a record player and are trying to skip a song every 30 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. They actually have to listen.
Yes.
Which is nice compared to everything else going on. But, yeah, that's sweet. Go check him out. He's got a couple stacks of vinyl, or quite a bit, on the wall. So that's cool. Well, you guys haven't played live for a bit, but you're opening for Cedric Burnside June 1st at the Globe Hall in Denver.
Yes.
So,
yep, I'm excited for that show.
Yeah. Who else is playing with you? Do we have a band all the time, or we have to go out and get people?
No, I got Chase Baumgartner, who used to be the lead singer in my old band. He now plays bass guitar. Brian Horan's a guy I've known for years, and he drummed for us at this band that I was in Colorado before moving away. He's back full time, and then Andy Goldstone back on lead guitar. Colin, unfortunately, can't fly up for this show, so we are probably just going to go without a slide guitar player for this opening set. But it's going to be a great show, and I love playing that venue at Globe Hall, and it should be a packed house on Saturday night, June 1st.
Yeah, go and check it out. Don't miss it if you're down in Colorado, June 1st at the Globe Hall in Denver. And then I imagine, is this the beginning of shows, or what are we planning for the summer?
Yeah, we're working around a lot of people's busy life schedules right now, but we have a few that we should have booked here shortly that we haven't just started announcing yet, and we'll get out there and be playing. And there's some kind of opening stuff I'm probably going to be doing too, just with just singer-songwriter, with just me and my lead guitar player, opening for some folks around town that are traveling through Denver this summer. But more to come, and we'll be posting all that here shortly.
Yeah, and more new music on the way. But Kansas Town just dropped like a week ago, so here it is. Kyle Moon and the Misled. Kyle, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
It's Kansas Town. It's KIX 96.5.